Hey there guys, how's it going? If you've been following along my videos, you've heard me talk about this little bag a lot, kind of what's in it. If you don't know, this is my medical bag here. It's a Watershed Akoi, a very nice little bag here. But we're not talking about this bag today. Instead, we're going to be talking about this guy right here. What is this? This is my hardware for a Z-Drag kit, which usually lives inside of my medical bag. It's a nice little bag, as you can tell. I got it written on there. Easy to find, easy to see, easy to get to if you need to. The main question is why I don't carry this on my life jacket. Well, this bag weighs quite a bit, and it's got some metal in there. It's got some other stuff that I really don't feel comfortable carrying around on my life jacket, and I kind of want to protect my Z-Drag equipment because I don't want it rusting. I want the pulleys to remain pulleys instead of, you know, carabiners where you can actually use the pulleys as they should be intended, and you know, have that frictionless mechanical advantage that you need to when you're setting up a Z-Drag. So let's see what's in this bag. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you have some gear that you guys prefer to carry instead of the gear that's in this bag, you know, feel free to comment about that. I like to kind of swap my equipment around. This is just a Z-Drag I have set up now, but you know, as all my gear, this is ever changing and always evolving. So let's get into it. The first thing you'll notice about my equipment here is I have excess of a lot of stuff. So I got a lot of pieces of webbing here and cordelette for Prusik and Prusik loops. It's nice to have that stuff. I also have quite a few carabiners, although I prefer to have more carabiners in here because you can never have enough carabiners. This one is a bit of an oddity. This is actually a steel carabiner, and it's a turn gate, not quite a locker. What that means is you actually turn the big gate lock itself, and then you open up the gate, and then it'll snap back into position, and from here you can't open it without turning the locker. It's not really something you should be carrying around on the river unprotected, since it is steel. I mean, it is probably stainless steel since it did come from a ropes course. That's where I got it from. I got it as a reward from a college professor, and I do carry it in this kit. That's just because I don't have to carry it on my person, because a lot of these adds up to a lot of weight. So that's an oddity that I carry around. The rest of my carabiners in this kit are fully aluminum, except for some kind of joining pieces there, and they are a joy to use. I recommend, if you guys are setting up a kit like this, to get locking carabiners. What I mean by that is a carabiner that'll actually have a little screw gate here. They're called screw gate carabiners, and you can turn it, cinch it down, finger tight of course. You don't really want to put any tools on here, and then from there the carabiner itself cannot open. So that's nice to have. A lot of carabiners out there on the river, especially carabiners that are on your person, should be screw gate carabiners, because you could lock them down and you don't have the fear of the gate opening when you don't want it to. So I got a couple of these in here on there. These ones are nice and light. They are aluminum carabiners and not the steel variety that's already here. Some other oddities I have in here are basically a progress capture device. This is a figure 8, which is an old style of climbing belay device. It's an interesting shape. You know, it's kind of wonky. They still work really well. You know, it's something that if you don't have Prusik loops, or if you're using your Prusiks for something else, this guy comes in handy. You can lock up a rope really easy with one of these, so that's why I carry it. Other people might not carry it. Other people might carry a different progress capture device, but this is what I carry in this kit for now. And I haven't had to use this one in particular, but I've used other figure 8s, and even if they are kind of old school devices, they still work really well. My last little bits of the metal pieces in here are my pulleys. These are simple pulleys. I believe you can find these off of the NRS site or even Amazon. These ones say Swiftwater on them, though I don't know if that really means that they are a sealed bearing pulley. Excuse me. So that's another reason why I carry it in my medical bag. I don't want these guys seizing up. I want these to be as easy to use and frictionless as you need a pulley to be. And these are really easy to use. Actually, they open up, so you could actually lay the rope in here, lay the rope right in there, and then they just close, and you can lock them right back into a carabiner, and after that they are locked and you can't get the rope out of there unless the rope comes all the way through the system or you take them out of the carabiner. So got a couple of these in here. Yep. Come on. There it goes. Just have 2 of them for now, but that 2 of them is all you really need to set up a Z-Drag. I'll be setting up a Z-Drag in a separate video. This video is just going through the gear I carry. I would like to get a 3rd one maybe, just to set up a, just in case I need more mechanical advantage. But a Z-Drag itself is the very last resort kind of system you use to get boats out of, or boats or other gear out of, you know, stuck situations. There have been some situations and scenarios, thankfully I wasn't there, but there have been spots where Z-Drags have been used as body recoveries, and I've heard about these, and from the people who were there, they were basically pulling pieces apart. So it's kind of grim, but that does show you how much force this system can potentially have, but it's not something you really want to take lightly. So that's it for the hardware. Got a carabiner, of course, and then at least that's for the metal pieces. I got some softer pieces in here. I got a couple pieces of webbing here. This is just 1-inch webbing. This is a 12-footer. I like to kind of number and kind of number mine on the tails here. So this is a 12, indicated by the little 12 on the tails, and it's just held together with a daisy chain configuration. This just keeps it more compact. I can hook it onto things. I don't have to worry about dragging 12 feet of webbing around with me. Webbing is really handy to use to create anchors with. I actually have a webbing flip line. It's a different video altogether, and we'll get into that later. But webbing is great for making anchors. It is a strong material. The only problem with it is you don't want webbing and other pieces of rope rubbing on each other, because tube webbing does have a rather low melting point compared to some other pieces, such as this little piece of prusik cord or any other piece of stuff out there. So when you're setting up with webbing, try not to have ropes rubbing on it itself. You can clip it into carabiners and then clip the pulleys onto that, and that'd be the best option for using webbing out there on the river. So I got my big piece of webbing here. I've got a smaller little piece of webbing, which I need to remember the size of because I don't have it written down here. That's another reason I write it down there, so I know how long they are. And then the last, almost second, few things last here is I have some prusik cords. This one looks rather long. You can get prusik cords longer and you can get them shorter. The main thing about the prusik really is you have to have the prusik to a certain ratio to the rope you're using. I forget what it is. I'll look it up and I'll put it somewhere here on screen, because there is a very certain ratio that the prusiks will actually lock into the rope better with. And if you don't know what a prusik is, no worries. I'm going to make a video about how to set this up. I'll make a video about kind of popular knots and hitches I use out there on the river. So if I say prusik, water knot, a figure-8 knot, don't worry about it. I will make another video soon to kind of show you the knots and hitches I use out on the river. But just know that this is used as a prusik, which is a hitch, not a knot. So I got a kind of a smaller prusik here, in diameter anyway. This is a smaller diameter, and this one is a little larger diameter, but they still work well. There's actually a secret to using larger diameter. If you can't get the smaller stuff to the certain ratio, which again I'll find in post here, but there is a little secret you could use if you don't have smaller prusik. You could actually use a larger diameter prusik, and I'll go over that later. Of course, the last thing you have to have with all this stuff is an actual rope. So I carry around this rope bag with me. It's your traditional NRS Rescue Pro bag, and it's covered in dog hair at the moment because my dog is shedding like crazy. But carry around this with me. This is a little beefier rope than usual. This is a Spectra Core line, which, you know, this diameter can take a ton of pull. It's an awesome line. If you're looking about getting a Spectra Core line, I would recommend it in this diameter, which I don't know the diameter of. I'll put it on screen again. Sorry about that. But it's your hands handle a lot better than the smaller diameter Spectricore. The smaller stuff tends to kind of bite into your hands, and I mean it hurts, and you really can't get a good grip on it either. So that's why I recommend the thicker stuff. Anyway, that's the kit I have out there. It's a lot to take in. I mean, this stuff entirely in front of me is, I mean, it's a lot. It definitely is, and I wouldn't recommend buying at least the main Z-Drag stuff. I would recommend buying a rope bag, of course, but I wouldn't recommend buying the Z-Drag stuff unless you're really wanting to get into the Z-Drags. Of course, that means there are other options of getting boats off of like rocks or in pin situations. It might just be a matter of moving weight in the boat. You might be able to rock a boat off of stuff. And then there is another technique that I heard of, which is basically deflating your boat, a tube, maybe a couple other tube or two anyway. I haven't seen this in practice. I've only really heard about it. I'd love to see it in practice at some point in time, but just remember that there are other ways of getting boats unstuck. The Z-Drag and all this hardware really should be the last resort stuff. You might, it takes a while to set up, definitely. And if you're out there with your buddies, or if you have hurt people out there on the river, you know, focus them first before you go to getting equipment. You know, save yourself some time. Equipment can always be replaced, people can't, so, you know, think about that before you start tearing this stuff out, you know. And in situations where there is a boat stuck or there's equipment stuck, you know, just don't rush into it. I would recommend just stopping, I mean physically stopping and taking a look at it and going through a multitude of options, both with yourself, if you're, you know, if you're the only person in this situation, or with the other boatmen that you're with. You know, just talk through some situations, talk through some scenarios, maybe some solutions. You never know what you're going to come up with, and you know, that's all I really got to say about that. Is just do that. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you guys do have any questions about this gear, you know, leave it below. I'll have as much of this gear listed as I can in the description, so go ahead and click on that. If you like my little Watershed Koi bag, my medical bag here, there'll be a link to that in the description, of course. If you click on the link to go into Watershed and check these bags out, a portion of your purchase, if you buy anything, of course, a portion of your purchase will come back to me and help support me and this channel, of course. Feel free to check out my shop too. It's listed below. We got some sweet designs there. Got some nice t-shirts. Got some phone covers. You know, coffee mugs. Sort of really cool stuff there. Last thing before you go as well, leave either a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on if you liked the video or if you didn't like the video. And then feel free to subscribe too. It'd be a great help for me. Other than that, I will catch you guys in the next video.